From the New York Times, top FBI agent in New York vows to dig in after removals at agency. It's not just him. We've got some posts. Let me see if I can, we got one from Jack Posobiec. Federal workers are actively stating they're declaring war on Trump, on the Trump admin from within the government. Look at this. To my fellow feds, especially veterans, and I'm just not going to read it. It's just it's long-winded, stupid. It's like they don't care about us and
P2025.
It's goon and Project 2025. Then we got this from Elon Musk. R/FBI says OPSEC reminder use of fingerprinting on emails and notices, basically warning that Elon and his Doge team are using. There's this technique called coloring the water, where to prevent leaks or to track leaks, you send out slightly different information in every direction, and then whichever information leaks, you know who the leaker is. In this instance, they use fingerprinting in emails. So if you screen grab the email, they know exactly who it came from. It looks uniform, but there's something tiny about it you don't notice. Mm-hmm. So Elon Musk is saying, if you leak, you're fired.
Yes.
The idea that there would be no resistance is a silly one. Of course, they're going to resist. And now even James O'Keefe has this video out where they're basically saying they're going to defy the orders from Kristi Noem.
Absolutely. This is something that at least libertarian kind of minded people have had a sense of, because the libertarians have been, ineffective forever. But this administration is actually the most libertarian administration in probably 75 or longer years. This is the kind of stuff you can expect the government to do. These kind of like, oh, he's such a terrible person, and oh, they're going to put all these people out of business and are out of work, and et cetera, et cetera. That's the same thing you get anytime you try to cut in government at all. If you try to cut any program, the people that have made a living off of it, of course, are going to call you names. They're going to say that you're this bad person, et cetera. And if you're a president that is so polarizing with an opposition that is so sure that you're, the worst person ever, they're going to do everything they can to cast everything you do as the worst. It's ridiculous because they're saying, oh, Donald Trump is a fascist and he's like Hitler. And it's like he's trying to make the government smaller. Fascists don't try to limit the scope and size of government. They want a government that's involved in almost every aspect of your life because, Mussolini said everything within the state, nothing outside of the state, right? And Mussolini is the quintessential fascist, aside from the Nazis, which were a whole other kind of fascism. But Mussolini really kind of wrote the book on fascism, and there was nothing that the Italian fascists were not involved with. There was any personal life was gone. The government had a stake in all of it. The idea that Donald Trump is a fascist when he's trying to cut things, trying to remove government from your daily life is ridiculous, but they have nothing, which is exactly why they're doubling down.
I wish that Trump were the person that they say he is. I always think about this. It makes me so sad that he's not the fascist dictator that they say he is.
But the irony shouldn't be lost on us, though. For the last, 8 years, we've had to listen to the left talk about how Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. The principles of democracy are under attack every single day from every direction from Trump and his team. And meanwhile, we have a democratically elected president who gets into office, who has a, 56% approval rating,
yep.
Who's doing all this. His approval rating is rising as he's doing his agenda. And now you have this deep state, this shadow government, let's call it, who's trying to thwart him every which way. Which is it? We all know. We all know it was never about democracy. What they really meant, what Elon said, if you change out democracy with bureaucracy, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. There's I just retweeted it, so it's at the top of my my Twitter feed if anyone's interested in looking. But there's a New York Times piece that was written today, and it says the Democrats are saying we have no coherent message. Democrats struggle to oppose Trump. More than 50 interviews with Democratic leaders reveal a party struggling to decide what it believes in, what issues to prioritize, and how to confront an aggressive right-wing administration. That's exactly what we want.
What if with this USAID purge, they're gonna fire a bunch of feds, FBI agents. That's pretty crazy. Basically, any FBI agent who was involved in J6 investigations is on the chopping block, including leadership. Yeah. What if they take USAID and just start funding a bunch of conservative organizations the way that they were
To make up for it. I think that's more than justified. I don't want it.
100 years of populist right-wing rule in this country.
I don't know if you get that, but it would definitely make up for. I'll tell you this. So my dad was a one-term member of Congress. He got elected in 2010, and we killed it with fundraising. We raised $1.5 million. Our opponent raised, I think it was 2.1. That was like real money at the time. You look at what these congressional candidates are raising now. It's 3, 4, 5 million if you're a Democrat, right? And it's always been puzzling to me where the hell all this money's coming from. Like, what was the big change where all of a sudden Democrats are raising, mid 7 figures? It has to be this government stuff, and it had to have been led by Barack Obama. They got too close. I think the 2010 wave year really scared the bejesus out of the Democrats. They thought, holy cow, there's this populist backlash to all these Obama policies, and they started plotting and planning. Everything, Barack Obama got elected, and then everything started becoming super dysfunctional. It's like he exacerbated everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. The argument is that with USAID, it was funding the Uniparty, which was Republicans and Democrats as well. I don't know. It's circuitous. I wouldn't call it conspiratorial because the money is traceable. You can actually see that, like, this organization received money from USAID and then donated money to these activist groups. It's all there. The intent is a question. But if the U.S. goes in, if like Elon and Rubio or whatever, they go in and say, no, we're just going to make sure that all that money goes to, like, Bible study or something like that. That could dramatically shift things in a way that's worse than just shutting it down. Right now, they shut it down. The deep state says, dang, we lose our funding. They reappropriate all that funding in the populist direction, and it's game over.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I kind of like it. Maybe we should petition that.
Well, Rubio's saying he doesn't want to shut it down.
I'm not sure what policies, you should be focusing that money on if we were to do that, right? Like
1776 curriculum in every public school.
I don't think that that's going to take that much money.
No, it's probably
like I think that the actual things that the Republicans or conservatives want the government to do probably don't take as much money as is being cleaned up. And again, this is just discretionary, right? So even if you took that excess money, did a couple things that conservatives liked, and threw the rest of it at mandatory spending, you don't do anything about the coming economic crisis.
No, you know what you do is you redirect the USAID funding to helping women afford pregnancies. You pay for every single pregnancy in the country as long as they're married. That's how you do it, and that would shift so much power back to. And Tim, I think we've talked about this on your show because we did this report years ago. It was like 2019, and we studied the impact that family structure has on voting behavior and ideology. If you're married and have kids, you're way more conservative. And if you come from a household of a married mom and dad that didn't get divorced, didn't cohabitate, you are way more likely to be conservative than their never married peers.
Enforced monogamy.
They just incentivize monogamy.
No, Jordan Peterson got yelled at by the liberals for this. Enforced monogamy is just the sociological term for when a society has pressures on wanting you to be monogamous. So, like, back in the day, if you were a woman and you were not married, you were a spinster, and so there was a shame involved in it. Enforced monogamy was then taken to imply that Jordan Peterson was saying the government should force women to marry incels. That's not what he was saying. He was saying that a society
that's a punishment
should have, like, its own guardrails. This is what people need to understand. That Mary, you made a really great point about how government can't really do much to change these things. You can't rely on the stroke of a pen. The moment you're writing things down to make them happen, you're already in trouble. Mm-hmm. Society needs to dictate its own rules. Mm-hmm. And we have a degenerate, immoral, amoral society right now.
Well, I think a lot of that
we're winning. We're winning. It's shifting.
We're starting to win, but a lot. We have this report that's coming out later this week. We analyzed all of the funding streams that the federal government's using to push gender ideology on our kids and throughout our entire culture. It is over $100 million at least, right? This is insane. It's like government is doing so much to cause dysfunction that if you were to just get the government to stop doing the programs that are causing dysfunction, I think you'd have a lot of healing that would naturally start happening.
I don't think we're winning. I don't think we're winning at all. People just look at the end of a battle and they look at Trump winning an election and they think that's the end of a war. And that's incredibly naive.
I don't know.
Short-sighted.
I don't think it's over. I hope people
It's
don't.
far from over.
I don't think people think it's
It's not
done
even
yet.
close to over. We're not winning. We're not winning the culture. We're not.
I disagree. The popular
Why?
the popular vote shows a cultural shift. It doesn't mean that we've won the culture, but we are winning. And then you look at was it Rachel Maddow's key demo average was 68,000? Like we have like just about that much watching live at one moment. And that was her like cap viewership in the demo. So I do think it's a big mistake of Trump and his team to start defending TikTok all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to flip on a dime in 2 seconds and start pushing Dylan Mulvaney all over again. But I think Trump wins. Facebook backs off censorship. YouTube does as well. Rumble's expanding. Just got $1 billion investment from Tether. There's tons of cultural victories, and we've been gaining. I think with Trump's victory, a popular vote win for the first time in 20 years, we are gaining ground.
But doesn't it signify that there's like a real shift in people and where they get their news from? I mean, I think that's the most hopeful thing is people really don't watch CNN or MSNBC anymore. They are going to Timcast and they're going to Rogan and they're going to all these other sources. It's becoming decentralized, which is a beautiful thing because it's one less tool that the state can use. And we're expected to believe that the FBI and the CIA and USAID, that they do regime change and operations in every other country except the United States.
Well,
It's garbage. Everyone knows that that's not true.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.